Strong Dads wants to thank Quality Auto Mart for joining us as a sponsor. Quality Auto Mart was born in 1985. They are owned and operated by Mark and Nancy Repke. Quality Auto Mart provides all the services, repairs, and maintenance for your vehicle's needs with a 3-year auto parts and labor warranty. They offer complimentary vehicle safety inspection and estimates. Also, they offer a shuttle service, and the 4th oil change is always on them. They are located at 7307 on State Road 46 in Batesville, Indiana. Make sure you give them a call at 812-934-2301.
Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson alongside of Kyle Crawford, bringing you another great show. How are you doing today?
I am good. I am getting ready for old St. Nick to come down the chimney.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready.
Knocking on the door.
I know.
He's knocking on the door.
I know. You know, I told Ava and Mia this is like probably not their first year. They don't really believe in Santa Claus anymore.
Oh, really? Both of them?
Both of them. So I told them, I said, if you don't believe you can't sing songs about Santa Claus, you can't do it. The other night at dinner, Mia had a Santa Claus hat on. I'm like, nope, take it off. You don't believe in them, take it off. Putting a hammer down on them.
Yeah, putting it down. And all your presents are going back.
All of them.
They're going to go back to the North Pole, go to the island of misfit toys.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I'm telling them, got to believe.
Well, good luck with that. Yeah. All right, man, we are here. We are coming to the end of the year. We got Christmas, and then that, the week after is just like, everybody's going through their list of failures and stuff. I mean, of successes of all the things that, I reached this goal. So I think today maybe let's talk about, I remember you and I talked at the beginning, our kind of goal setting show last year about some things that we wanted to do. And I
probably should have rewatched that to see how bad I failed.
You said. Well, I had a few things on there, and other things that I didn't really talk about, but there's other things, and so we'll review some of that stuff.
Boy.
We'll go from there and see what we can do to
let's
set the goals for this next year.
Let's jump into that. How bad or how good did you succeed, or how bad did you fail at some of your goals you had set for this here 2022 as we wrap this thing up?
Well, okay. So I'll give myself as you rated at the start of the show, I'm going to give myself a solid B.
Okay.
Not a B plus,
Not
solid
a B plus.
B.
All right.
So one of the big things that I said at the beginning of the year, we started Rock Solid Families. We've been really busy with that. And one of the other things that I've always liked doing is the fitness and exercise thing. Yeah. I invented a piece of equipment, and that has been a very slow process. But finally, the patent came through back in March, and I really said, this is the year that I want to see this become a product. And so as we speak today of our recording, it is the product, the first batch of manufactured product is being plated, chrome plated, awesome. Actually zinc plated, but it's being plated. Very cool. And so I don't know if I'll get my first sale before. Maybe if any of you guys listening to this will say, hey, I'll be your first sale. I don't know if I'll get my first sale in 2022. But so, we have worked really hard. And
that was a goal you had set at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, that this was a year. Like I needed to either figure out what the patent was going to do. And I did secure the patent. And then the manufacturing process, I've been in on that every step of the way. That's been a very slow process, but it's been a process that I've been able to have my finger in the whole way to make sure that things are done the way we want them to be done. And just from an engineering perspective and manufacturing and that kind of thing. So now we just feel really good about the product itself, like the function of the kettle bars. Just fantastic. Yeah. Not that it can't ever be improved. It can always be improved, but it just takes money to go to the next level of improvements. So anyway, that was a big thing. And like I said, I'm going to give myself a B on that because I would have loved to already had a sale in before I was making these statements. Right. But I don't. Yeah. So the other, I said one, I was going to read more. I do read a ton, but I don't read books.
Okay.
I read a ton of articles. I listen to a ton of podcasts. If I'm in the car, I'm seldom listening to a radio. I'm always burning up a podcast. So I take a lot of information in. Obviously, it doesn't do much because I don't remember any of it. But let's see. Every year of mine, it's I like to use my bike as a summer sort of training tool.
Yeah.
And so I always like to have goals. So I have, in the area that I live in, I have kind of pre-scripted rides, and I know my times on those rides from year to year.
Okay.
And this year, I did not surpass last year's goals.
Okay.
Last year, I really did well. Last year, I set some goals. This year, I didn't surpass too many of those, except for I had a hill climbing goal.
Oh.
And we have a big hill out in our area.
Okay.
And I'm way old and fat to be climbing this the way I try to climb it. But I actually beat last year's time. So that was kind of cool.
All right.
But I didn't get to ride as much as I wanted to, like mountain biking and stuff. So
yeah.
And I think I've also shared that I have a goal to ride my bike in every state in the union.
Yep.
And I did not check off a state this year. And I didn't last year either.
Heck?
I don't know. Like, see, all my states now are hard states to get to. They're out, like, out in the Northwest or up in New England. I cherry picked all the ones that are close to me. And now.
Well, Merle, I hate to break it to you. Your time's running out.
Yeah, I know. So. Anyway, I didn't gain any extra weight, but I definitely didn't lose any weight. So every year I kind of think I'm going to finally mature and grow up and drop 20 pounds and be at my old fighting weight kind of thing. And that just hasn't happened. So, yeah. How about you, man? I just like trash talked myself on how like I said, I'll still stick with a B.
All right.
How about you? What'd you go with?
Golly, a grade? I'm gonna say I'll go with my typical grade that I've gotten my entire life. I'm gonna say a C. There we go. C's get degrees.
Yeah, you set the bar low, didn't you?
No, this is something Jenny and I we do actually spend a little bit of time, typically towards the end of the year, talking about financial goals that we're setting for the next year, talking about different things that we want to continue to do together. So we kind of we always do set aside certain odds and ends stuff we want to do to our house, to make those improvements. Man, I would say one of the things that we do, and hopefully my girls aren't listening to this show. We said in 2022 we wanted to start saving for Disney for our girls, do a Disney trip. That was potentially going to happen in 2023, and God bless Jenny, because she just transferred that money into an account, and so we have hit that goal. So that's been really cool. One of the things we've always set aside is to make sure we're doing monthly dates and make that a priority. That's been something we have stuck to. We set aside however many odds and ends things we wanted to do to our house. One of which was get siding on our house. Finally, we accomplished that this year. So some of those things we have definitely hit. For myself personally, if you were to tell me at the beginning of 2022 that I would have read/listened to 2 books, I'd have told you you're freaking crazy. But I did that, which is kind of bizarre and crazy that I did that. I'm actually rereading one of the books right now. I know I did a whole show on one of the books, Extreme Ownership by Jocko. So that's been something that I never in a million years would have thought I would have kind of accomplished. I know I set out at the beginning of the year to improve my golf game, and I feel like I am getting there. I went and got fitted for new clubs. So that was kind of crazy to do that. This is my first time getting new clubs in 15 years probably. And I don't know if I've kind of hit that point where I'm on the upslope to try and, because obviously there's a learning curve with new clubs. So that's been something kind of cool to try and figure that out. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to say a C. I don't know if I know myself. If I did set a workout goal, I failed at that one. So that's going to bring the curve way down on that one.
Yeah. You did say at some point you were like back to running a little bit. I think that might have been like April or May or something.
Yeah.
I think you ran that one day.
Yep.
And then you
Yep. And I actually, now that you speak of that, I think I probably did set a goal to study and get promoted at work, and I failed at that one. So
that's right. You were.
Those are bringing the curve down, and financial goals that we hit, stuff to the house. So those goals are still up.
Yeah.
We'll give
Good
a C.
stuff.
A good
yeah.
C.
All right. Well, let's thank our sponsors.
I like it. Yeah.
And, so I want to thank Quality Auto Mart for being a sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast, especially as we wrap up this year. And they have jumped on to support what we do here in the 2022 year. So we want to thank those guys and just appreciate that they're willing to stand behind us and hopefully continue to support what we do. So for all your automotive needs, go out to see Quality Auto Mart outside of Batesville, Indiana on Route 46.
Good deal. Also, we would like to thank Case Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside of us. As we're recording this, we're getting close to that Christmas time. So if you're looking for any last-minute Christmas ideas for home decor, landscaping needs, go check Case Outdoor Solutions, and I really do appreciate them.
All right. Very good. All right. So here's kind of the question, when I work with people all the time, especially that have made mistakes in their life, like we all have, okay, I'll get some people who minimize the mistakes they make in their life, and I'll have some people who maximize the mistakes in their life, okay? And somewhere there seems to be a happy medium,
Yep.
all right? And so that's a little bit about what we're talking about today. Like, why look back in the rearview mirror of life? Like, it's nothing that you can do to change, whether you made a goal or not. But I think of it as like looking at game film. Right now, as we speak, our Bengals are actually, they're looking like a competitive team.
I can't really say our because I'm not really a Bengals fan.
Get out of this room right now. I am while they're winning. Come on.
Yeah, of course. I was going to say there's lots of Bengals fans now because they're winning.
Yeah. So, but it's like, I talk about this all the time, the idea of you got to go look at the game film. And good athletes understand the purpose of game film. The game film is not there to boast and to brag, but it's also not to do this eternal beatdown of the mistakes that you made, because the game film has the purpose of preparing you for the next battle. And so we look in the rearview mirror of our life, our past year or many, if that's what we want to do, and we study it to see, okay, how are we going to do better in the next battle, in the next stage of life, in the next year, whatever that we're preparing for. And I don't know about you. I think I've always made this assumption, and I've always made the assumption that people want today to be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how good yesterday was, like, I always wake up with the idea of today. I want today to be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think it's a built-in human thing. Parents always say, I want my kids to have it better than I had it.
Yeah.
And so we're always, I think it's built into our DNA that we're trying to better ourselves. And for the life of me, like, I couldn't ever understand why somebody would wake up and say, I hope I really suck bad today.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Right.
Like, you said what?
Right.
So the idea here is, all right, if I'm going to look in the rearview mirror, then what am I going to look for? And how am I going to handle that actual education process of looking back and seeing what it is in terms of mistakes and shortcomings and what I'm going to do with them?
Yep. And there's definitely a balance here. I was just thinking I remember in high school running cross country, I remember in the middle of a race always looking to see where my competitors are behind me. Right, always doing that. And I remember my coach yelling at me, say, you can look one time and then your eyes go forward. You can look that one time you pass them, look to see who you just passed, and then your eyes are always forward. And I think the same can be said about this. It is a good thing to go back and to review the goals you have set, how you have failed, how you have succeeded those. But, man, we can't get stuck in the past. The past is important because it's going to make us who we are. And it's going to hopefully drive us and help improve us to where we want to go. But, man, we can't sit and sulk in the past. We have to continue to try and move forward, look through the windshield versus the rearview mirror. So
Yeah, that's a great point there, looking forward. Here's what concerns me about, like, the report that you and I just gave for ourselves. One of the most dangerous things is a mediocre report. Because mediocre... And I'll call it, like, in the football world or baseball world, we'll call it a 500, right? You have a 500 season. You've won half, you've lost half. And when I give myself a B, or a C, it's like, well, I didn't lose all of them, but I didn't win all of them. And so the reason why that is, and I find myself here a lot, why it's dangerous is because it lacks motivation. It lacks motivation. It tastes bad, but not so bad that I'm willing to do something different. Or it tastes so good, I've got to recreate that taste. So if I had a perfect season, that would taste so good. If I had an A+, if I look back at my year and I said, wow, that was the year of years, I would desire that like no one's business. And so those kind of years are attractive, and you want to recapture them. And sometimes you can't recapture them, right? Like if they're that good, it's like it's hard to shoot your best golf score and go back and reshoot that one every time.
100%, yeah.
But you know what it tastes like, and so that's what your goal is. You're like, oh, dude, I'm trying to go out there and shoot that best score again. Okay. The same thing goes the other way. Like if you go out and you have an absolute terrible, abysmal showing. Maybe it's illness. Maybe the business goes bankrupt. Maybe it's terrible. You have to make a decision there. Am I going to quit the game, or am I going to double down and come back bigger, harder, faster than ever before? But the extremes are really where people have movement. The middle is where we go to die. We rot. And that's what concerns me, especially as I get older, that I know what kind of energy it takes to get that championship season. And so I'm okay at that 500. I'm okay at that 500. And I don't want to be okay at that 500.
Right.
So anyway, the 500 season is the most dangerous place to be.
Yep. And I think this could be kind of one of those things when I think of just kind of that mediocre and kind of average. This is one of the ones that I'm thinking, so I set 10 goals and I achieve 5 of them, right? That's obviously right smack dab in the middle. And then the next year, all of a sudden it's like the 5 goals that I didn't achieve, I remake those same 5 goals. And then the end of that year, it's like, I didn't really do those. And it's just like this constant battle of just like you're not making any progress. It's just idea that, man, the goals you set, if every year you're setting the exact same goal and you're not achieving them, like you're not getting that taste of that winning that you were talking about. And I think, man, whatever it's going to look like for you, and we're going to get into kind of like moving forward. So again, we can't just sit and say, okay, we've been 500 for the last 10 years, right? We're not Marvin Lewis. We don't get to keep our job, right? Like at some point we have to like buckle down and say, I'm going to try and actually achieve this goal that I'm setting because I've set it the last 5 years and I've not achieved them.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I think I want you to ask yourself this question. If I keep doing what I've been doing, where am I going to be next year at this time? Right? If I keep doing what I've been doing, where am I going to be? What's it going to look like? And again, I don't know what the answer for that is, but I know for myself that there are certain areas that if I stay with what I'm doing, I'm going to continue right at my B, my C+ to B range, And so there's going to have to take some balance of understanding where I want to pour my energy into.
Yep.
All right. How about you?
Well, what I was thinking is the question I was going to ask, because I think this is a good question for, kind of as we're moving through this, of how do we find this balance of setting realistic goals that we can actually achieve, but also making those goals like we should want them to be challenging, right? So kind of where do we find ourselves? How do we move through this ability to again see where we've come from and where we want to go, setting goals and hopefully things that we can achieve that are tough, that are going to challenge us as men, but also are not so much like I can't sit and say I want to be Tom Brady next year, right? It's not that for right now where I'm at, that's not feasible, right? But that if that's a goal for you to want to be the greatest of all time of whatever you're doing, set that goal. But inside that goal, there has to be some steps to kind of get to there, because just to say I want to achieve something massive like that right away. So I think it's just kind of finding that balance. I mean, when you get guys that come into your office that are dealing with kind of essentially a lot of failures that they've been dealing with, do you see that they are basically jumping to the peak of a mountain before they've even learned how to walk?
Yeah, I mean, that is possible for sure. I think what I see more often, and this is what I see with myself, and I've actually read stuff, I've listened to shows on this, and it's something that I'm going to try to wrap my head around this year. I'm a jack of all trades. I've mentioned that on the show before. I'm a jack of all trades. I can do a lot of things.
Sure.
Okay. But I don't do anything really good. Okay.
Right.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
And I think what happens, the reason why I find myself getting lots of B's in life is because I like to do a lot of things. I don't like to be pigeonholed to one thing.
Sure.
But then at the end of the year, I get frustrated because I didn't master one thing.
Yeah.
And so what I more often see, because I think most people are actually more wired that way. Very few people are like total experts in any one thing.
Sure.
That's a very unique sort of gift or curse, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. But what actually I think happens is people dilute their energies and their focus by lots of things. And so it's not that they overdid, it's that they just were diluted and couldn't do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
know?
It does.
And so one of the things that I am actually thinking about this year is like some things I'm going to put on the back burner. Not that I want to do bad at them. Like I don't want to do bad in my marriage and with my kids and those kind of things. But I need to like really spotlight on one thing and go after it much harder and better.
Yeah.
And rather than grading myself on everything in life, to get some success in a more specific area.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Just to get some hyper focus. Like this is the one thing that's been kind of, it's been that little that needle in the back that I can't quite get to, and I think it's time. Like I got to put some things back to the back burner, and I need to go at this more strongly.
Yep. And I think when it comes to that idea of finding something to like go after and be aggressive at that, man, it has to there has to be a priority list for you, right? So if you're like, I want to learn how to ride my bike, right? If that's something, I want to learn how to do a task, right? But yet your marriage is falling apart. Like maybe you should like do a little bit of reevaluation. Yeah. So I think this idea of going after one thing or going after some like actual obtainable task, I think is a great idea, but it also has to kind of fall in line with the priority list.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to actually wind this down because next week we're actually going to go through a goal building process. Okay, as we get ready to come into January 1.
Oh boy.
But this week was more about looking in the rearview mirror. So the challenge that we want to leave you guys with this week is I want you to look in the rearview mirror. I want you to go watch game film. I want you to actually assess really and truthfully, where are you at in your life? I mean, are you lying to yourself and telling yourself that you're all this and you're really none of that? Whether it's in the relationship with your wife, whether it's at work, whether it's making money, whether it's fitness, interaction with your kids, how about your faith life? Go through these things and truly look at the game film.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we're going to talk about then, when you look at the game film, don't minimize your mistakes. Like take the hit. Man, I sucked at that one.
Yeah.
I just didn't do well. Or, you know what? Like, man, I turned the corner on that one. That was better than I'd ever done that.
Yep.
Okay. And then the next week, what we want to do is really go after, okay, how are we going to shape up 2023? And maybe we do clean off our plate in some areas. Maybe we say, I'm going to put some of these things just a little bit on static, and I'm going to take a couple of these things and I'm going to elevate them in terms of importance or priority, as you mentioned, I think is a great thing that we need to talk about. So anyway, that's a challenge. This week, review the game film.
I love it. Yeah, you see the football players do all the time. They're sitting on little tablets after a play, and
now they can review game film real time.
Yeah, real time. It's crazy, and I think it's good for us to do that. If you look at like we're in the midst of football season, you look at like the O line, right? They all are grouped together, like looking at it and evaluating. And I think we should do that together. Man, bring your wife along for this. What a great opportunity to challenge yourself. Look in the rearview mirror. We failed miserably at this year. Next year, again, we're going to get into that. But I think you have to review that game film in order. Again, I tell me this all the time. Like, you can't look at where you've been to know where you want to go. Like, you start there,
right? But at some point, your eyes have to stay forward.
Yeah. Build the game plan to move yourself forward.
Yep.
All right, very good. All right, so tune in next week to find out how you are going to be the best version of your strong dad self. All right, we want to thank you guys for listening. Continue to share the show. Thanks for our sponsors, Quality Auto Mart and Casey's Outdoor Solutions, for continuing to support what we do. So, what else you got?
Share the heck out of our show, and really appreciate you guys. Go out there and be some strong dads.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.